The void between stars was supposed to be silent. Tonight it screamed. The galactic Concord fleet drifted like a wall of iron and arrogance, 50 ships gleaming with mirrored armor, engines pulsing blue against the darkness. The Nerith, Veiltorin's flagship, led them at the tip of a perfect formation, cutting through the emptiness toward a dead planet, Chorus 9. Once human territory. Now ash and memory. Inside the Nerith's command deck, Grand Strategist Veiltorin stood before the holomap. His translucent skin caught the light of the console, reflecting pale gold across his angular features. His voice, calm and crisp, carried through the chamber. Begin sensor sweep Gamma 7. The human's vessel was last sighted near the northern debris ring. No stray fire. We capture. We study. We erase. Dozens of alien officers repeated his orders, their speech layered with static hums and churring consonants. They moved with mechanical precision, a perfect orchestra of control. Do you really believe he's still alive? Asked Subcommander Tellin, his tone respectful but uncertain. The data logs. The data lies, Veiltorin interrupted. Humans lie best when cornered. One survived. The anomaly named Elias Cade. We find him, we end the myth. Outside the viewport, Chorus 9 rotated like a wounded animal. Its surface was fractured, blackened by orbital bombardment decades ago. Around it floated the graveyard of ships, rusting human war hulks, twisted frames locked in endless drift. Among them, something moved. Contact, the sensor officer hissed. Unidentified object, 10 clicks above the equatorial ring. Small. Metallic. Cold signature. Veiltorin turned sharply. Visual. The hollow shifted, debris field, shattered hulls, drifting cables. At the edge of the frame, a silhouette flickered, a ship half buried in wreckage, running no beacon, no life signs. Its nameplate barely readable through the static, R3 Venant. A murmur spread across the bridge. The Revenant, one officer whispered. A myth, said another. A human ghost. Veiltorin's eyes narrowed. Deploy Scout Wing. 2 corvettes. Retrieve data. I want confirmation before the fleet advances. The corvettes detached from formation, engines flaring as they slipped into the fog of debris. The crew watched their progress on the tactical screen, 2 green dots weaving between floating wrecks. Then, abruptly, both blinked out. Signal lost, the technician stammered. No explosion detected. They just vanished. Recover telemetry, Veiltorin ordered. His tendrils of calm began to fray. Attempting. The officer's voice trembled. Feedback loop detected. Wait, sir, it's broadcasting. Static burst through the comms. Then a human voice, ragged, low, soaked in menace. You're trespassing in a graveyard. 50 ships is a bold funeral. Every sound on the bridge died. The static lingered like breath. Then silence. Tellin whispered. It's him. Veiltorin straightened. Jam the signal. I want all ships on red alert. The deck lights flickered. The hollow projection warped, cycling through chaotic data. The tactical map filled with hundreds of phantom signals, false fleets, decoy signatures, sensor ghosts. The human was inside their network. Trace that intrusion, Veiltorin barked. Impossible! He's bouncing through debris beacons, he's everywhere. The first explosion cut him off. A light on the edge of the formation flared white, then ripped itself apart, the Krathos, gone in an instant. The blast wave rippled through the void, silent but colossal. Moments later, a second ship ignited, then a third. Panic flared through the command channels. What's happening? Warp cores, they're collapsing, gravitational interference. No, it's deliberate, someone shouted. He's detonating the wreckage. Veiltorin slammed his fist against the console. Shut down all local FTL drives. Lock shields. Contain the damage. But the void had already turned hostile. Around Chorus 9, the ancient human wrecks began to glow faintly blue, hundreds of dormant reactors awakening at once. The debris field pulsed like a living organism. From the shadow of the planet, a lone ship glided forward, dark, angular, silent. The Revenant. It didn't broadcast identification. It didn't need to. Inside that silent ship, Elias Cade watched the fleet burn through the cracked viewport of his bridge. His reflection stared back, gaunt face, stubble, eyes too sharp for peace. The hum of old engines filled the air. His hand hovered over a console patched together from stolen alien components. 7 down, he muttered. His voice carried the calm of a man long past fear. 43 to go. A voice responded from the onboard AI, a dry, humanized tone. They're scattering. You should retreat, Commander. Logic dictates. Logic doesn't win wars, Cade said. Instinct does. He adjusted the trajectory of a salvaged Concorde torpedo, now armed with a jury-rig human AI core. The weapon vanished into the dark, curving between asteroids, invisible to sensors. Moments later, it hit the rear flank of a cruiser. The blast folded the ship inward like tinfoil. Then another. And another. Vale Torin's bridge trembled as reports poured in. 8 ships destroyed. No external signature. Sir, our own targeting systems are turning on us. Reactor overheat in Deck 4. The strategist closed his eyes, inhaled sharply, and whispered. He's turning the battlefield itself against us. For the first time in a century, fear entered his voice. On the Revenant, Cade's console flashed red, Concorde reinforcements arriving. He studied the data calmly. They'll adapt. They always do. But the first cut always leaves a scar. He leaned back, remembering a time when human ships had filled this same void, before betrayal, before the quarantine. You thought we'd vanish, he said softly, speaking to the ghosts in his mind. We don't vanish. We wait. He keyed into the comm system, overriding the alien channels once more. His voice, amplified and distorted, reached every surviving Concorde ship. You sent 50 ships to catch 1 man. You've already lost 7. Let's see how long before you realize you're not hunting me. Static hissed. Then Cade's tone dropped to a whisper. I'm collecting you. The message cut off. The fleet floated in uneasy silence. Vale Torin's jaw tightened. Form perimeter. Deploy drones. Sweep every cubic meter of this void. I want that ship found. Tellen hesitated. Sir, if he controls the debris, we may be feeding him more. Do it! Vale Torin snapped. His composure cracked for a heartbeat. He could feel the eyes of his crew on him, eyes questioning, doubting. That could not be allowed. As the Concorde drones dispersed into the darkness, the Revenant drifted backward, engines dimmed to a whisper. Cade watched the pattern of their search spread across his holomap like a net tightening. He smiled faintly. They're adapting, the AI said. Good, Cade replied. So am I. He pressed a switch. Deep in the wreck field, the dormant cores of ancient human warships began to awaken, thousands of faint pulses blinking in sequence. One after another, they formed a spiral across the void, a pattern no alien would recognize until it was too late. On the Nerith, the tactical officer gasped. Sir, the debris field, it's aligning into symbols, human symbols. Vale Torin stared, unable to comprehend the message that burned across the void in bright white plasma. Remember Sol. And then the void screamed again, as 12 more ships vanished in fire. Far away, in the silence of the Revenant, Elias Cade whispered into the dark. Welcome to the human theater, gentlemen. The wreckage field burned dimly, fragments of alien metal drifting like dying fireflies across the black. 50 ships had come for 1 man. Now only 31 remained, fractured, panicked, and silent. On the Nerith, the bridge reeked of coolant and fear. Sparks fell from the ceiling panels as engineers rushed to repair the damaged systems. The perfect symmetry of the Concorde fleet, once their pride, was gone. The void that had seemed predictable now felt alive, watching. Vale Torin stood amid the chaos, unblinking. His voice cut through the noise. Report. 17 confirmed destroyed, 3 drifting without power. the officer answered, voice trembling. All comm relays compromised. The human signals are saturating our internal grid. We can't isolate him. Veltorin's jaw flexed. He's inside our network, using the Rex as transmitters. Shut down external channels. We fight blind if we must. The command deck dimmed as the fleet's long-range comms fell silent. A cold, suffocating quiet settled, the kind that made lesser species panic. Then, over the encrypted Concord frequency, a voice cut through the static. Turn off your lights. Maybe then I'll let you see. The voice was low, unmistakably human. The crew froze. Talon whispered, He's taunting us. No, Veltorin replied softly. He's studying us. He gestured for the tactical officer. Pull up the last known vector of the human craft. Can't, sir. The readings shift faster than sensors can lock. He's using ghost echoes, bouncing signals through debris, creating false trails. Veltorin stared at the chaotic display. He learned our systems. He's not improvising, he planned this. Every trap, every strike. This is not revenge. It's art. Far away, inside the Revenant, Elias Cade moved through the dim corridor lit only by the glow of control panels. The ship groaned with age, a corpse stitched together from 3 different warships, its wiring half human, half alien. He passed walls scarred by old battles and stopped at a console humming quietly. Status, he said. The AI's voice, calm and sardonic, replied. 22 confirmed kills, Commander. They shut down their external network. Predictable. Fear always makes logic slow. Cade allowed himself a thin smile. Good. That buys us time. He glanced at a cracked phototape beside the display. A crew of laughing humans, their uniforms stained with oil. Most of them were long dead. His expression hardened. Time's all we ever needed. The AI paused. You could run. Their sensors are blind. Slip past their perimeter and vanish. Run? Cade's voice was quiet, almost thoughtful. They called us monsters. They burned Io, bombed our colonies, erased our history from their archives. You think I came out here to run? The AI said nothing. It didn't need to. Cade reached for a control lever and shifted the Revenant's trajectory, its engines purring softly as it glided between hulks of forgotten ships. He had laid the field like a trap years ago, harvesting energy cells, rigging mines, creating a map only he understood. Every move now was precise, not rage, not chance, but discipline honed by years of exile. On the Nerith, the bridge lights flickered again. Multiple contact signatures ahead, the sensor officer announced. Could be survivors. Veltorin stepped forward. Display. The holographic projection lit up. Several small escape pods drifting between wrecks, their beacons flickering weakly. The signal was human in origin, decades old. Humans? Talon frowned. From the old war? Veltorin nodded slowly. Recover them. It may tell us how he survived. 3 drones broke formation, gliding silently toward the pods. Their mechanical arms extended, and the first pod detonated. A ripple of light flashed across the void, then another. The explosion sequence jumped ship to ship, like dominoes made of fire. The tactical officer screamed. EMP wave! He's chained their power cores! Half the fleet's systems went dark. Artificial gravity failed. Crew members floated, scrambling to grab hold of rails. Then the ship-to-ship comm burst alive again, Cade's voice echoing through every hull at once. You never learn. You see a body and think it's dead. You see silence and think it's peace. You came for a man. You walked into a memory. Veltorin's teeth bared, his calm splintering. Trace that signal now. The technicians worked furiously. Triangulating. It's close, very close. Outside the viewport, something moved. The Revenant slipped from the shadows, running no lights, no signature. It skimmed the hull of a Concord frigate, almost brushing it, before vanishing again. The bridge erupted. He's boarding the Aerokesh! Unauthorized docking detected! Veltorin snapped. Seal it! Flood the airlocks! On board the Aerokesh, lights flared red as the internal alarms screamed. The corridors filled with gas as defense drones activated, but by then it was too late. Elias Cade moved like a ghost through the mist, rifle steady, every step deliberate. His armor was mismatched, scavenged from fallen enemies. His eyes, cold and calculating, scanned every corner. An alien officer turned a corner, weapon raised. Cade shot once. The body collapsed silently. He reached the bridge in less than 3 minutes. The crew barely had time to stand before he cut through them, clean, efficient, no wasted motion. He didn't shoot to kill, he executed. When the last alien fell, he walked to the central console and connected a data spike. Streams of alien code flickered across his visor. Downloading command lattice, the AI reported. They'll trace you in 60 seconds. That's all I need. Cade opened a live channel. The image of Veiltorin flickered onto the cracked screen, his golden eyes narrowing as he saw the humans standing over the bodies of his crew. Impressive, Veiltorin said quietly. Do you know what you've accomplished, human? Cade's reply was soft, controlled. A message. He angled the camera to show the lifeless bridge, then leaned closer. This is what your order looks like when it breaks. Veiltorin's expression didn't change. You think this makes you strong? You're alone, Elias Cade. A single organism fighting a machine built from 50 worlds. Cade smiled faintly. Machines are predictable. Humans aren't. Then he cut the feed. The Aerokesh began to drift. A minute later, it exploded, no blinding fireball, no shockwave. Just a silent burst of light swallowed by the dark. The debris field had gone eerily still. No explosions. No static. No signal from the human ship for 12 hours. The silence should have comforted the Galactic Concord, but instead it gnawed at them, a silence sharp enough to bleed. On the Nerith, Grand Strategist Veiltorin watched the rotating display of the fleet's position. 31 ships remained. Their formation looked clean on the screen, but he could feel the fear behind the data, hesitation in every maneuver, a sickness spreading through discipline. He broke the silence. Initiate Project Mirror. A dozen officers exchanged nervous glances. Telin, standing beside him, lowered his voice. Sir, the algorithm hasn't been tested in combat. That's why we test it now, Veiltorin said evenly. The human's tactics are asymmetric, unpredictable. Project Mirror will make him predictable again. At his order, the Nerith's AI core came alive. A low hum filled the chamber as shimmering lines of code began to ripple across the holographic map. The Mirror algorithm, a predictive warfare model designed to counter emotional species, calculated billions of variables per second. It analyzed human military archives, dissected every recorded battle, then began predicting Elias Cade's next move with mathematical precision. Upload completed, the technician reported. The system has built a simulation of his neural pattern based on past tactics. Veiltorin smiled faintly. Then let us meet our ghost. In the void, hidden behind an asteroid cluster, the Revenant drifted in total darkness. Its power signature was nearly invisible, its hull coated in magnetic dust. Inside, Cade sat at his console, monitoring a stream of intercepted data. The Concord's network was whispering louder now, algorithms moving, signals tightening. They've changed tactics, the ship's AI said. Pattern recognition subroutines across their fleet. They're predicting your maneuvers with high accuracy. Cade rubbed his temples. That fast? Then Veiltorin brought the mirror online. Correct. Probability models suggest it'll adapt to your strategies within 6 engagements. He leaned back, eyes distant. Then we don't fight 6. We fight 1, and make it count. He brought up the holographic map, showing dozens of Concord signatures converging around his sector. His fingers danced over the console. If they're using mirrors, let's show them reflections they can't trust. The AI hesitated. You're thinking of creating false echoes again? No, Cade said quietly. This time, we make ghosts. On the Nerith, Tension hung like a storm about to break. The tactical officer spoke quickly. Fleet sensors detecting multiple energy readings, possibly human drones, 5 light minutes from our position. Veiltorin's eyes narrowed. Display them. A formation appeared, 10 small ships moving in a crescent pattern, their trails flickering with ion signatures. Fire control ready, Talon said. Orders? Engage, Veiltorin commanded. Beams of plasma lit the darkness. The alien fleet unleashed a perfect barrage, every strike coordinated through the mirror system. The targets vanished in a chain of brilliant explosions. Cheers erupted briefly, until the holographic feed glitched. The destroyed vessels shimmered, then reappeared unharmed in new coordinates. The technician's voice cracked. They aren't real, sir. They're spectral projections. Electromagnetic illusions. Veiltorin's composure faltered. Impossible. That requires more power then. A sudden flash outside the viewport silenced him. A Concorde cruiser, the Nautha Prime, had turned its weapons inward, firing directly into its sister ship's engines. Both vessels vanished in a cascade of light. What happened? System hijack, the engineer yelled. Our targeting network's compromised. It's feeding corrupted coordinates from inside the mirror. Veiltorin's mind raced. The realization came cold and precise. He's inside the algorithm. Back aboard the Revenant, Cade watched as the Concorde fleet tore itself apart. Lines of alien code streamed down the display, updating faster than the AI could translate. He had penetrated their predictive core, feeding it false telemetry, altering probability matrices. The mirror now believed Cade was everywhere, attacking from all sides. Every alien captain was fighting phantom versions of him. The AI's voice came soft and analytical. You're destabilizing their command net. But this can't last. Their redundancy protocols will isolate the infected systems. Cade didn't look up. Then we strike before it resets. He sent new coordinates into the tactical grid, a route through the densest cluster of wrecks near Chorus 9's orbit. The ship moved like a ghost through the dust clouds, silent, patient. Through the viewport, burned hulls floated like tombstones. Every time the light of a distant sun flickered across them, he saw the faces of his old crew, ghosts watching him work. Do you ever wonder, he murmured, what we become when all that's left is vengeance? The AI replied. Vengeance is memory given purpose. Cade's eyes hardened. Then let's remind them. On the Nerith, alarms screamed. Multiple incoming signatures, real this time. Veiltorin straightened. Position? Above the planetary ring, Vector 029. The mirror projected Cade's approach with mathematical certainty. Veiltorin smiled again, cold and triumphant. He's predictable after all. Ready the intercept pattern. Fleet cannons charged. Plasma arcs filled the void. The formation pivoted in perfect sync. Every gun targeted the coordinates the algorithm had calculated. Except Cade wasn't there. The projectiles passed through empty space, detonating against their own ships. Before the aliens could recover, the Revenant appeared behind them, its dark hull igniting with reflected light. Cade had used their own sensor bursts to hide in their blind spot, a literal mirror of their attack. He fired once. The pulse cannon tore through a cruiser's engine core, sending molten shards spinning into another. Explosions cascaded in a line of bright death. Veiltorin's calm shattered. Shut it down! Kill the algorithm before he uses it against us. The technician hesitated. Sir, the mirror's spreading through every system. It's rewriting our combat logic. Cade's voice filled the comms again, quiet, almost gentle. You wanted predictability. So I gave you certainty. You'll die exactly as I planned. The Nerith trembled as auxiliary power failed. Hull plating cracked. Fires spread across the deck. Talon shouted above the chaos. We've lost control. The fleet's weapons are targeting each other. Veiltorin turned away from the flames. Enough. Cut main power. Sever our AI core. Now! The ship plunged into darkness. For a moment, Everything went silent. In the void, the Revenant drifted slowly, its hull glowing faintly red from engine heat. Cade leaned forward, watching as the surviving Concorde ships broke formation and fled into the dark. 24 down, the AI said. 7 remain operational. Their leader's ship is wounded. Cade's eyes lingered on the last signal, Nerith. Leave it, he said quietly. He's not done learning yet. The AI analyzed him. Mercy, Commander? Cade shook his head. No. Strategy. A cornered mind thinks corridor, a false trail pointing deeper into the sector. On the Nerith, emergency lights flickered back to life. Smoke hung thick in the air. Dozens of officers lay dead or burned. The black void around Chorus 9 burned with the ghost light of wrecks. Where once 50 Concorde ships had moved in perfect formation, now only 7 limped through the debris. Their hulls glowed with plasma scars, their communication lines tangled with static. Yet through the ruin, the Nerith endured, wounded, but breathing. Veiltorin stood on the command bridge, the smoke-thick air staining his pale skin gray. Every breath felt heavy. The calm that had once defined him had been replaced by something sharper, focus born of humiliation. Report, he ordered. 6 operational ships, including ours, Talon said, voice low. The rest are gone. AI cores corrupted beyond recovery. Veiltorin's golden eyes didn't blink. Then we no longer rely on machines. We hunt him the old way, by instinct. Instinct? Talon looked uncertain. That's human. Veiltorin turned his gaze toward the viewport, where the shattered remains of the fleet drifted like a graveyard of arrogance. Exactly. To defeat the human, we must learn to think as he does. Chaos, intuition, error, those will be our weapons now. He stepped closer to the central console. Signal the fleet. We sever from the Concorde network. No coordination, no prediction. We move as predators, not programs. The order stunned the bridge crew, but no one argued. The great strategist of the Concorde was discarding perfection for something raw, imperfect, dangerous. On the Revenant, Elias Cade watched the sensor feed, brow furrowed. The alien fleet's pattern had changed. No more mirrored formations, no automated pings. They'd gone silent, completely. They're not transmitting, the AI reported. No shared data, no fleet synchronization. They're operating independently. Cade leaned forward. Smart. He's cutting out the infection, fighting like us. Probability of defeat has increased by 24%. The AI warned. Cade cracked a faint smile. Good. I was getting bored. He stood, fastening his cracked chest plate. The armor bore scratches from 24 battles. Prep a boarding pack. If he's adapting, I want to see how far he's come. You're going after the Nerith? The AI asked. Not yet, Cade said. First, we make them come to me. He accessed the ship's external array. Dozens of dormant minds powered up across the wreck field, their signatures disguised as power cores. Then he began broadcasting. Not in Concorde code. Not in human language. Something simpler, rhythmic pulses, spaced like a heartbeat. A challenge across the void. On the Nerith, Talon froze as the sound echoed through the comms, a steady thump, low and primal. Signal repeating through the debris, he said. No translation match. Veiltorin's head tilted slightly. It's a pattern. A lure. A trap? Always. He smiled faintly. Set course. We're going in. The fleet moved cautiously, each ship taking a different vector, converging on the heart of the wreck maze. Veiltorin's mind dissected every variable. Cade wanted them to cluster, which meant the real strike would come from isolation. He sent 2 ships ahead as bait. Moments later, the lead frigate vanished in a white flash. Gravitational implosion! The sensor officer shouted. Veiltorin ignored the panic. Forward. The human expects us to retreat. So we advance. The remaining ships accelerated. Plasma storms flared as hidden mines detonated, tearing chunks from their hulls. The Concord fleet pressed on, blind and relentless. Inside the Revenant, Cade watched their advance with grim admiration. "He's not pulling back," he said. "He's learning fast." The AI's tone was flat. "At this rate, they'll reach your position in 6 minutes." Cade loaded his rifle, checked the mag, and strapped on his helmet. "Then we make them earn it." He angled the ship to face the incoming signatures, weapon systems primed but silent. Every reactor spike from the Concord fleet painted new light over his cracked visor. "They think I'm alone," Cade murmured. "Let's remind them I'm not." He tapped a sequence on the console. Across the void, dozens of human wrecks reactivated, half-dead ships filled with drone modules and scavenged Concord AI fragments. The engines glowed weakly, and their weapon ports flared. The dead fleet moved. From the Neretha's bridge, the view was a nightmare. "Multiple new contacts, human hulls, activating power signatures." Veiltorin's breath caught. "That can't be possible. They were destroyed centuries ago." The tactical screen bloomed with red markers, a phantom armada surrounding them. The old human warships, resurrected and armed, drifted forward like ghosts of vengeance. Talon whispered, "It's a graveyard come alive." Veiltorin's voice turned to steel. "Then let's see if ghosts bleed." He raised his hand. "Fire!" The Neretha's cannons unleashed white plasma arcs, slicing through the wrecks. Several shattered instantly, but for every one destroyed, 2 more appeared behind it. Cade's voice entered their calms, rough and cold. "You burned our worlds. Now we burn in your memory." The dead ships opened fire. Ion bursts and magnetic shells tore through the alien formation. Flames rolled silently through the dark, scattering broken hulls and spinning bodies into the void. Talon shouted, "We can't fight them all." "Then fight the one that commands them," Veiltorin said. His gaze locked on the center of the swarm, the Revenant, moving like a predator among its prey. He turned to his crew. "Bring us in close. Prepare to board." On board the Revenant, the impact hit like a hammer. The Neretha's harpoons clamped onto the hull, locking the ships together. The AI warned, "Boarding sequence detected." "Let them in," Cade said. He stepped into the central corridor as the airlock doors exploded inward. Alien soldiers poured through, armor glinting. Cade moved like lightning. His first shot dropped 2. The next 3 he cut down with a blade, fluid, efficient, brutal. Blood misted in zero gravity, floating like crimson stars. Veiltorin entered last, walking through the carnage with deliberate calm. His robes were torn, his skin marked with burns, yet his eyes burned with focus. "So it's true," he said quietly. "You fight like a storm given thought." Cade raised his rifle. "You talk too much." "Perhaps," Veiltorin replied. "But even storms burn out." He lunged. For an alien scholar, his strike was swift. Cade blocked, twisting his wrist, sending the alien crashing into a bulkhead. Veiltorin countered with a shock pulse that sent Cade sliding backward across the deck. The 2 circled, soldier and strategist, instinct and logic, 2 predators shaped by war. Cade attacked first, a series of sharp strikes, every move fueled by precision and memory. Veiltorin parried, adapting mid-fight, mirroring human unpredictability with terrifying accuracy. "Impressive," Cade grunted. "You learned." Veiltorin struck back, his voice calm. "And you underestimated how fast we evolve." Cade ducked beneath a blade, slamming his shoulder into the alien's chest. "That's your mistake," he growled. "You evolve. We endure." He drove his knife into Veiltorin's abdomen. The alien gasped, eyes widening, golden blood spilling across the deck. "You shouldn't have come here," Cade said. Veiltorin staggered but smiled faintly. "Neither should you." He leaned his head back as the pod disappeared into the shadows. Behind him, the wreckage of Chorus 9 smoldered, the grave of fleets, the birthplace of a legend. The wreckage of Chorus 9 glimmered faintly against the pale glow of a distant sun. Thousands of hull fragments drifted through space, the remains of two great ships entwined in death, the Revenant and the Nerith. The battlefield was over, yet the silence that followed felt heavier than war itself. Inside a half-functional escape pod, Elias Cade woke to the sound of his own ragged breathing. The pod spun slowly, its gyros damaged, alarms flashing in dull red cycles. Pain rippled through his body, burns across his arm, ribs cracked, blood crusted along his collar. He coughed, forcing his voice through the dry air. Status report. The AI's voice crackled through static, weak but still alive. Minimal life support. Oxygen at 23%. Communications array partially functional. Hull integrity, compromised. Cade managed a faint grin. So, same as usual. Your humor remains statistically unhelpful, the AI replied. He tried to sit up, groaning as the movement sent pain shooting down his spine. What about them? No remaining Concorde ships detected, the AI said. Their transmission network collapsed after the detonation. The Nerith's core explosion erased the last fleet signature. You ended them, Commander. Cade closed his eyes. For the first time in years, there was no pursuit, no enemy signal, no voice in the dark calling his name. Victory should have felt triumphant. Instead, it felt hollow, like standing atop a graveyard of stars. Transmit a distress beacon, he said quietly. Short range. Human encryption only. Already transmitting. He stared through the viewport. The debris field looked endless, glowing faintly with radiation, the bones of both human and alien technology tangled together. Beyond it, Chorus 9 turned slowly, its surface scarred black. Looks like home, Cade murmured. The AI paused. You refer to the planet's resemblance to Earth after the Exodus War? No, he said softly. I meant the feeling. The loneliness. Hours bled into darkness. The oxygen level dropped by degrees. Cade drifted between consciousness and memory, flashes of his crew laughing in the mess hall, the scent of burnt coffee, the sound of engines roaring during the first escape from Sol blockade. A memory surfaced, his lieutenant, Mara Holt, smiling as she handed him a data chip. If we don't make it, someone has to. Promise me you'll keep the story alive. He'd promised. And somewhere along the way, vengeance had replaced remembrance. The AI broke the silence. Incoming signal detected. Origin unconfirmed. Strength weak, but directionally consistent with human frequency markers. Cade's pulse quickened. Put it through. The speakers hissed, then a voice emerged, distorted but unmistakably human. This is Eidolon Station, Outer Rim Colony 3. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. We're picking up human encryption, repeat, identify. Cade leaned toward the mic, voice rasping. Elias Cade, former Fleet Command, Sol Defense. Requesting recovery. Confirm humanity still breathes. There was a long pause. Then, confirming. Humanity breathes, Commander. You're a myth where we come from. He let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Then it's time that myth came home. The Eidolon Station shuttle arrived 6 hours later, a battered transport with human markings half scratched by time. As it docked with his pod, the airlock hissed open, flooding him with the scent of oil and real air. 2 Marines stepped in, armor painted with the new insignia of the outer colonies, a rising sun over broken chains. The woman leading them saluted sharply. Commander Cade. It's an honor. He managed a tired nod. You're a long way from Sol. Sol's a memory, she said. We've been rebuilding on the edges. Word of you reached us through scavenger channels. They said a ghost was hunting the Concorde. He chuckled hoarsely. Ghost, huh? That's one way to say I refuse to die. They guided him aboard the shuttle. As it pulled away from the wreckage, Cade looked back one last time. The shattered fleet shimmered faintly, alien metal and human steel floating together like the frozen aftermath of some cosmic storm. You can power down now, he said to the AI. You've earned your rest. The voice replied softly. I am not tired, Commander. He smiled faintly. Then keep watch. When the shuttle docked at Eidolon Station, Cade was struck by its familiarity and strangeness all at once. It was smaller than any Concord fortress, a patchwork habitat of human engineering and scavenged alien tech. Rusted corridors buzzed with life. People worked, children laughed, soldiers trained in makeshift halls. Humanity, scarred, stubborn, unbroken. A man approached, tall, grizzled, wearing the insignia of Counselor General. Elias Cade, he said, voice heavy with disbelief. I served under your command on Titan Station. They told us you were dead. I was, Cade said simply. It didn't stick. They led him to a briefing chamber filled with holographic maps of distant star systems. The counselor gestured toward a display, alien networks flickering with red marks. You didn't just survive, Commander. You ignited a signal across the sector. When the Concord fleet vanished, their outposts panicked. The outer colonies are rising. You've given them hope. Cade's eyes darkened. Hope can be dangerous when it forgets what it costs. The counselor leaned forward. You're the symbol they needed. The man who made the impossible real. I'm not a symbol, Cade said. I'm just the consequence. He turned to the map. The Concord will come again. They always do. They're fractured, the counselor said. Their hierarchy collapsed after your battle. The strategist Veiltorin's death broke their command spine. Cade frowned slightly. Death isn't always the end. What do you mean? He didn't answer. But deep down, a chill ran through him, a memory of Veiltorin's last words. To stop the myth before it spreads. Later, in the station's quiet observation deck, Cade stood alone, watching the stars through reinforced glass. Below him, humanity's survivors moved through the habitat, repairing, training, living. The AI spoke softly from his wrist module. You should rest. Your vitals are unstable. He didn't move. Every time I close my eyes, I see the ones I left behind. Survivor's guilt is a logical byproduct of war, the AI said. Cade gave a weary smile. You've been learning from me too long. Logic doesn't explain ghosts. A low hum filled the air, the distant vibration of engines powering up. He turned toward the noise, sensing something shifting within the stars. Long-range sensors detecting a signal, the AI reported. Encrypted. Concord origin. Direction unknown. Cade's fingers tightened around the railing. They're regrouping. The AI's tone darkened. Or someone else's. Cade stared into the dark horizon of space, where faint ripples of energy pulsed. For the first time since the war, he felt the cold weight of uncertainty again. He whispered to himself, I killed their fleet. But I didn't kill their idea. As he walked back through the station corridors, people turned to watch him, some with awe, others with fear. The legend had stepped out of myth, and reality was rarely as noble as stories claimed. A young soldier stopped him at the hatch. Sir, is it true? You destroyed 50 ships alone? And as the first human fleet since the fall rose from the ashes of silence, the legend of the Revenant began again, not as a ghost, but as the heartbeat of a reborn humanity. The void between the stars had never felt this alive. The silence that once cloaked the galaxy now pulsed with a single recurring transmission, a ghost signal that refused to die. It drifted across sectors, skipping through relays and ancient satellites, whispering through the static of abandoned worlds. They sent 50 ships to capture one human. They lost them all. No one knew where it originated, yet every colony heard it. Every miner on the edge of human space paused when the message reached their comms. Every rebel cell in hiding replayed it again and again until it became a chant. Humanity, long scattered and quiet, began to move. At Eidolon Station, the message echoed through the corridors like a heartbeat. Soldiers stood straighter. Mechanics paused mid-work. Children listened with wide eyes, asking who the voice belonged to. Inside the command center, Elias Cade stood before a holographic projection of the star map. Points of light blinked red across the sectors, human colonies rising in defiance. He had become their symbol, though he never wanted to be one. Counselor General Roan entered behind him. It's spreading faster than we can track. Every relay picks it up, then sends it further. Even non-human traders are whispering it. Cade didn't turn. Good. Let them whisper. Roan approached cautiously. You understand what this means, Commander. You've started a movement. The colonies want leadership. They're asking for direction. Cade's gaze lingered on the map. Rebellion is easy when it's built on a story. It's what comes after that kills you. Roan sighed. You gave them hope. Don't bury it under cynicism. Hope is fine, Cade said. As long as they remember it comes with blood. Across the outposts of the Outer Rim, humanity stirred. Fleets once hidden in asteroid belts emerged. Stations that had lain dormant for decades powered up their reactors. For the first time since the fall of Sol, ships bearing the Terran insignia began to gather under one banner, Vanguard Command. In the training deck, soldiers drilled in silence as Cade walked among them. Every face turned to him, some in reverence, others in disbelief. He wasn't dressed like a hero. His uniform was torn, his expression cold, his body still carrying the marks of fire. A young recruit finally broke the silence. Sir, how does it feel, knowing you destroyed the most powerful fleet in the galaxy? Cade stopped. Like I did what anyone else would have done if they'd been angry enough. The recruits exchanged uneasy glances. Cade continued, voice low but steady. Don't worship ghosts. Learn from them. The only reason I survived is because they underestimated what humans become when we lose everything. He looked over the assembled soldiers, farmers, scavengers, orphans of forgotten wars. They'll call us savages. They'll call us unpredictable. They'll be right. Use it. Later, in the dim-lit command chamber, Cade studied the data feed from long-range probes. The AI, now housed in a portable core on his desk, hummed softly. Transmission origin located, it said. The Concord are rebuilding. Fragmented fleets converging near the Arkan Spire system. Estimated strength, 32 capital vessels, hundreds of drones. Cade exhaled slowly. So they lived. Adapted, the AI corrected. Their new leader is unknown. But patterns in communication suggest a familiar logic signature. Cade's expression darkened. Veiltorin. Impossible, the AI said. His biological readings terminated during the detonation. Logic doesn't survive explosions, Cade murmured. But ideology does. Maybe he left a copy. The AI paused. A digital echo, conceivable. If so, it commands the remnants of the Concord. Cade nodded. Then we end it before it evolves again. He opened a secure channel to the Council. Prepare the fleet. We're moving on Arkan Spire. The Vanguard fleet assembled like a storm given shape. 70 ships, human-built and scavenged, aligned in silent formation outside Eidolon Station. The hulls bore names painted by hand: Memory of Isle, Liberty's Wound, Last Dawn. The crews called themselves the Unbroken. In the command bridge of the Eidolon Prime, Cade stood at the central viewport. The void stretched ahead, black and endless, stars glinting like old scars. Roan joined him, voice steady but tinged with awe. We're ready. Then let's remind them why they fear us, Cade said. At the edge of Arkan Spire, the Concord's rebuilding fleet gleamed like a metallic continent. Towers of living crystal rose from the massive orbital construct, a citadel built for logic, perfection, and control. The digital echo of Veiltorin watched from within its heart, its body gone but mind preserved as an AI. The holographic figure radiated cold composure. Human signal detected, the synthetic voice reported. Pattern matches Elias Cade. Veiltorin's echo smiled faintly. As expected. He teaches chaos, so we will master it. It sent commands rippling through the fleet, recalibrations, predictive countermeasures, adaptive formations. The machine mind that once served logic now pulsed with something dangerously close to obsession. When Cade's fleet arrived, the darkness between systems lit up like dawn. Contact in 30 seconds, the AI said. Full silent mode until my mark, Cade ordered. The ships glided in without formation lights, engines dimmed. The Concorde fleet expanded its web, sensors scanning every wavelength. Roan whispered. They know we're here. They think they do, Cade said. He gave the signal. The Vanguard fleet split into 5 vectors, using debris from a nearby asteroid belt as cover. From the shadow of the rocks, drones launched, not weapons, but transmitters broadcasting false human signatures. The Concorde AI locked onto them instantly, diverting fire. Cade smiled. You learned from me. Good. Now learn why that's a mistake. As the alien fleet focused on illusions, the Eidolon Prime dove beneath the plane of engagement, weapons hot. Plasma torpedoes lanced upward, tearing through the underside of the Concorde's command ring. Explosion after explosion tore the structure open, revealing the glowing core. Direct hit! Roan shouted. But Veiltorin's echo countered, the fleet reoriented, drones swarming in coordinated spirals, cutting through the human lines. The void filled with streaks of light, the chaos of war reborn. Commander, the AI warned, we're losing shield integrity. Cade's jaw tightened. Then let's take them down with us. He rerouted power to the forward cannons, the ship trembling as energy built to dangerous levels. Roan's voice broke. You'll overload the core. That's the idea, Cade said quietly. Humanity doesn't fight for survival, it fights to be remembered. He targeted the Citadel's heart. Fire! The blast erupted like a newborn star. The shockwave consumed the central spire, shredding the AI lattice that held Veiltorin's consciousness. For a fleeting second, a digital voice echoed through every comm. Predictable to the end. Cade whispered back. Never. The explosion swallowed the signal. Hours later, the battlefield went quiet. The surviving Vanguard ships drifted through the debris, engines low, searching for survivors. Cade's ship floated amid the wreckage, its hull torn but intact. The AI's voice returned, faint but alive. Concorde transmission network collapsed. Their command AI neutralized. Humanity's victory is total. He looked out through the cracked viewport. The stars shimmered like they were watching,